You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
Matt Lazowitz, and welcome to this week's episode of Bat Chat with Matt and Will, a Batman ranking podcast, where each week my co-host Will Nevin and I dig into 3 Batman stories, discuss them, and rank them on the big board, thus creating a giant list of Batman stories from best to worst. Will, how's it going tonight?
Oh, as usual, it is going, my brother. It is going. T-minus, what is this? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm about 48 hours out from Sisu Road to Revenge. I'm gonna be on the road. I'm on a nonprofit board and have to go down to board orientation and training. That's gonna be Friday afternoon into Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, but Friday night, baby. That's me time. That's Sisu time. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Did not get out to see Running Man this past week, and I'm a little bummed about that because it did look like a fun time. I feel like I've been seeing the trailers for it for forever, and I'm a little surprised it didn't do well at the box office.
Number 2, it didn't do poorly. It didn't do, Keeper, which was number 7 and barely did $2 million. All 3 movies I saw this week were at least interesting. I enjoyed Keeper. Tatiana Maslany is hypnotic, but I will be mesmerized by anything she does. The Carpenter's Son is just bug shit. I mean, it is every origin of Superman, of young Clark Kent struggling with his powers, only it's Jesus.
I'm glad we can get the sort of the allegory and the illusion just out of the way. It's just, well, this is just a Jesus story.
Yeah.
Hold up. Does he fight Freaks of the Weeks as a la Smallville?
No, but he is definitely fighting. Satan is appearing to him as a young woman and trying to, tempt him. And Nicolas Cage as Joseph is more Pa Kent from Man of Steel. Like, you can't let them know what you are. With a little touch of Margaret White, Carrie's mom, in the fundamentalist mindset.
Okay, that's kind of weird.
Oh, it's insane.
Does he also have thoughts about menstruation?
Not as far as we know, but
okay,
I'm sure he does.
All right. But does his girlfriend and his girlfriend's hot friends do they get possessed by witches at some point?
You know what? The hot neighbor does get possessed by a demon. So there is that.
That was a Smallville season 4 reference.
Yes, it was. Oh, wow. I need to rewatch some Smallville. That show's nuts. And we definitely need to do the arc of the Smallville comic where they introduce Smallville Batman.
Didn't know they eventually got around to that, but that's what you can do in the comics.
Yeah, they did a season 11, and there's a Batman arc in there with him.
There's a lot of Batman arcs.
Yeah, there were. Eventually, we'll do that in an episode with a lot of other, with other media tie-ins. Like, we'll do that Paul Dano, Riddler Year 1, and that.
Oh, the book was so good. Paul Dano, you make me jealous.
And I enjoyed Running Man.
Sounds like I got a caveat coming.
Well, 2 caveats. One is what was scathing social satire in 1980-something is a little too on the nose in 2025. It's a little like, oh, that doesn't seem really that far from what I read in the news every day.
Yeah.
And while the ending is considerably closer to the ending of the book, like the ending of the Arnold movie is nothing like the ending of the book. The ending is closer. They still Hollywood it a little. It's still not as bleak as the ending of the book.
You rarely go full king unless you get the mist, and then you get the full king.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't see the original. I haven't seen the remake. I do want to see the original, if only for Richard Dawson. I kind of wish that, and again, I'm just from having seen the trailers, I kind of wish that they had gone the same route and cast a game show host from today and done like an off type kind of like, whoa, wow, let this guy stretch his legs and like really get into it. Not that Steve Harvey would have done it or that Steve Harvey would have been good at it, but like a Steve Harvey.
Yeah, but I love Coleman. I've worked with him in real life.
What?
Yeah, Coleman wrote and directed plays at one of the theaters I worked at multiple times. I've met him. I've talked to him. Yeah, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Well, I
Very
take it
nice
all
guy.
back. I wouldn't dream of having anyone else in that role.
But he was very good. Glenn Powell was great. Glenn Powell was great. Brolin was very good. Michael Cera did more than just his normal Michael Cera thing.
Huh.
And drastically underused in the movie, but Katie O'Brien was great. But Katie O'Brien's always great. I wish they had given her a role where she had more to do than her like 3 scenes.
And old Bill Macy's in there.
Yep, he's got a couple of scenes.
Quite the ensemble.
Yeah, and it is enjoyable. Like I walked out and was like, okay, this was a good time. But there were just those 2 little bits that were like, I don't know how you could do that movie and it not feel too on the nose in 2025.
Shit is kind of on fire at the moment.
A little bit.
Little bit. Little bit. But yeah, I cannot overstate how excited I am for Sisu. I'm vibrating out of my seat. It'll be a late show, but I do not care.
We will reserve the first 10 minutes of the bonus episode we are recording next week for you to sisu it up.
Oh, thank God. And I need to go back and rewatch the first one because I've only seen it once, and I need to rewatch it. But I got it on 4K. Just got to sit down and watch the damn thing.
That's what you're doing tomorrow night.
And what's that bonus episode you're going to be doing?
The bonus episode will be times that Terry McGinnis shared screen time with Static to tie in with the Batman Beyond Static miniseries that just dropped last week in the comics.
So Batfam has to wait a bit.
A little bit, but we will definitely be hitting that soon because it's fun. Hey, but let's say hi to John Wickham. How's it
Hey,
going,
John Wickham's back.
I got here because I paid money on Patreon. If you want to recommend a story, you too can pay $10 for the Patreon. Or lower, just to show some support to your fellow guys.
Or you can pay more.
Yes, you can pay as much as you'd like. We'll take it.
That's right. Look, I am 100% for sale. You know how we do the litany of sponsors, and for half of them or so, I have a little clever nickname or something. I'll say whatever you want. Like I'll talk about how big your Johnson is if that's what you want. Anything goes. I am for sale, open for business.
Oh, well, I'm always going to pay for whatever you put out there, aren't I? But hey, well, welcome back, John. It's always great to have you.
Yeah.
And this week, you're back, and we're here talking about 3 stories featuring Barbara Gordon as Batgirl from 3 very distinct eras. Our first story of the night is Batgirl Year 1. This is Batgirl Year 1, numbers 1 to 9. The writer is Scott Beatty and Chuck Dixon, with pencils by Marcos Martin, inks by Alvaro Lopez, colors by Javier Rodriguez in Heroic Age, letters by Willie Schubert, and edited by Nachi Castro and Matt Idelson. The cover dates are February to October of 2003. Barbara Gordon is frustrated with her father and her life. She wants to be a cop. She wants to do more than just be a librarian. But a chance encounter at a masquerade ball, dressed in a costume of her own design, will set her down a trail to be Gotham's newest defender, Batgirl. The first of multiple problematic creator watches tonight. First up is the evergreen Chuck Dixon, noted right-wing crank.
He comes off kind of light tonight.
The least problematic.
Yes.
That's not a good thing, but
No.
it's true. Congratulations, Chuck Dixon!
Question mark? Yeah. So this is the middle of 3 year-one mini-series arcs that Dixon did. The first being a Robin year one, which is a 4-issue prestige format. Then this 9-issue standard format for Batgirl, and then a 6-issue Nightwing year one from issues 101 to 106 that was I believe bi-weekly and was set sort of in a break during the Devin Grayson run to cue up Grayson's final arc on the book.
That's a real hodgepodge of approaches there. So it's real difficult to sort of figure out in a partnership, in a collaborative effort, like who's responsible for what. Sitting here thinking about it, I want to say that Dixon did the parts of this comic where it just kind of like reads and flows, and Scott Beatty did the insipid parts. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I can't be sure.
It
Beatty
depends on what you consider the insipid parts.
Beatty is credited first. So my assumption is Beatty did the scripts and probably worked with Dixon on the plot, but this is probably more of a Beatty project than a Dixon project.
Which is odd, considering this is the big celebration of everything Chuck Dixon did. It's got Firefly, it's got Barbara Black Canary, it's got Dick Grayson.
It's got Killer Moth before Dixon turned him into a moth monster.
It's got Jason Bard.
All characters Dixon used heavily during his Detective, Robin, Birds of Prey, and Nightwing runs. Beatty worked with Dixon quite a bit, and Beatty, I know for a fact, as I talked to him about this at a convention once, Beatty is the one who, during his Gotham Knights run, revealed the identity of Bane's father, which he said was something Dixon had planned from the beginning but never got to do. So Beatty clearly had a rapport and relationship with Dixon as a writer.
So I'm reading this and I'm thinking about it, and I am not enjoying it at all in the least. And I try to keep an open mind. I try to let a story unfold. I think I get about halfway through, and then I text Matt and I'm like, Matt, just a heads up. I fucking hate this. This sucks. It's terrible. From that first issue, the internal monologue from Barbara is laborious. It's pondering. There are just head scratching scenes throughout. Barbara is so whiny. Like she goes to the FBI, and I know Matt's like, look, I don't care about realism. It's a comic book. I don't care about any of this stuff. But she goes in there and sits to basically inquire about a special agent job. And she says, well, I know I'll need a law degree, but I've taken some pre-law classes, and I'm like, what the fuck is even what is going on here? And it didn't get any better from that moment. The plot just kind of meanders. Batman is the meanest I think we've seen him this side of Earth 2 or Earth 1, whatever that fucking shit is.
Still better than Robin and Batman.
It's close. We got a Batman who throws Barbara Gordon into a live fire exercise. Basically, like, if she dies, she dies. He says, I will equip you. I will look over you, hoping that you will quit. This is mean-spirited from the jump. And aside from the art, which we also talked off air about briefly, I don't think there's a single redeemable thing about this book. This was 9 issues that should have been 3, and like I said, mean from start to finish.
I had my problems with it, but you had way more problems than I did.
See, this is why I let you know where I'm going to be problematic, so we can anticipate these issues.
Problematic like Chuck Dixon.
Exactly. I just didn't find anything that I could enjoy here. Ugh.
You could enjoy the art. Marcos Martin is excellent.
This is outstanding.
Yes, Martin is great, and this is really gorgeous looking comics. My main problems with the story are less some of the things, I can see where you're coming from. The thing that gets me about it is the number of times Dixon is winking at the camera or Beatty is winking at the camera.
Oh my Christ. That was a thing I completely forgot. All of the dumbass, ham-fisted foreshadowing. The moment where if this had been a paper book and not my iPad, I think I would have thrown the book. It's the killing jar for you. Get the fuck out. Like 100%.
There's so much of it.
Oh, yeah.
The Oracle Cassandra said,
Paralyzing tedium, numerous references to not being able to walk. It's so many times in there.
Yes, we know this character's future. It's not clever for you to mention it in this context.
There were a couple of things that I thought were at least kind of cute. I liked Barbara's back and forth with Jason Bard. I thought there was a little bit of that bantery rom-com thing going on there. And I liked her first encounters with Black Canary, except for, again, let's not make this team up a regular thing, which is, again, too cute by half.
The conclusion that assumes Jim Gordon can't figure out Robin and drag. That's fun.
I go with plausible deniability on that whole thing. We know Jim knows. There are numerous stories where it is indicated that Jim knows and just sort of denies it because he has to.
So he sees Robin and drag and he's like, yeah, okay. All right, fine.
got those long, nice legs from those acrobat training.
And somewhere deep inside Robin, something awoken.
All right.
He does have that hot ass.
How old is Barbara supposed to be here?
21.
Which does make the thing with her and Grayson, who's 16, a little problematic in itself.
A wee bit.
I think you could maybe argue she's a little bit younger because she, skipped a couple grades, so maybe she's 19 and that makes it a little less creepy.
19's pushing it. Like this is somebody done with college and in an adult job.
If Barbara was able to start college at 16 and graduated in 3 years, that's the only way I'm able to justify her and Grayson locking lips. And that kiss is much more problematic in 2025 than it is in 2003. Now that Will has had his rant, John, how much defense do you want to run on this?
I think I'm going to have to do a lot.
I am probably in a middle space between the two of you, so...
It's a story I liked. For one, art. Freaking gorgeous.
Yes.
There's some competition for art. There would be competition for art, but this is the standout tonight. If it has to be 9 issues, I like the way it explored all the major relationships of Barbara's life, from Jason Bard to Dick Grayson to Black Canary to her father, and so on. I see this more as the pinnacle of everything Chuck Dixon has done with the Bat family. You've thrown Blockbuster in there for an issue. You've thrown Condiment King. You've thrown a lot of stuff.
And just looking at the things I noted, there's also J. Devlin Davenport is in there, Crocky, Bill Pettit. A lot of those little characters that he introduced and used a bunch in his run show up. And he's clearly much more sympathetic to Bill Pettit than anyone who wrote No Man's Land is. Here, Pettit wants to avoid civilian casualties, which is very different from the Bill Pettit of No Man's Land, who is killing people as he feels like.
Remember that I came into the Batman fan as a watcher of the Batman? So I have a soft spot for a Firefly story. And this is a very fun Firefly story.
Yeah, I mean, it does give you his origin and looks nice. Martin draws the fire and all that really, really well.
And I kind of buy Batman being a bit of a dick in this
He's a
because,
giant dick.
yes, because he doesn't want his friend's daughter getting involved in war on crime to the extent that she does.
And we are early enough in his career that he hasn't softened. I don't think the live fire exercise was something where he wasn't going to be able to shut it down as needed.
He was trying to, well, stop. And the reason he cut the line was because Barbara was gonna kill herself because it wasn't a good enough line for jumping across buildings.
This is another Dixon reference, is that is a reference to Knight's End, jumping off that particular building.
I don't see Batman as big as a dick as Will does. Like, he's trying not to get Barbara involved in this bloody war on crime, partly because he doesn't want an innocent, partly because his friend's daughter is getting involved.
I gotta say, I'm with John on this one. I didn't read Bruce as monstrous as you do. He was an ass, but I don't think that he was not as vile as we've seen. I mean, he's not Earth One, he's not Robin and Batman. Because my main problem with Robin and Batman is that there it's, you're soldiers in my war. And here he is actively attempting to not make her a soldier in his war.
But he's not being honest.
Because I think he knows that if he just told her no, she wouldn't stop.
Not without telling the whole truth. And he's not sure if Barbara's trustworthy enough for the whole truth yet until he tells her. Anyway, the Killer Moth stuff's great.
I do like a villain who just constantly shows his ass. This isn't a daddy issues thing. This is just a guy who's not competent. And it's kind of a gag. I mean, that's what Killer Moth is. Speaking of the Batman, he's what episode was 1 or 2 episodes he's in there. That's what he does. He's just a gag.
He becomes a Killer Mothman.
Caraxes. That's what
Yes.
Chuck Dixon does to him and turns him into Caraxes.
I like the way it plays off his original stories of being the Batman for criminals. And we see that kind of fail.
Yep.
And then he gets involved with Firefly, and then he has fun adventures. He's trying to be a moral compass to this flame-addled maniac.
And trying to extort tough Tony Bressie, another Dixon character. That's the mobster that Dixon used regularly throughout his detective run. The one of those wink at the camera nods that I really did like was the masquerade, the $1 million masquerade is a reference to the first Batgirl story, the $1 million debut of Batgirl. It's like, okay, I like that. That's a subtle nod.
Yeah, they were referencing all of the pre-Batgirl Killer Moth stories in this thing, which was nice and good.
I do agree with you, Will, though. This is over-narrated.
Ugh.
There's just so much narration, and I don't feel like the time jumps, the moving back and forth through time throughout a lot of the early issues was necessarily justified or necessary. It could have been a more straightforward narrative there.
It's not as irritating as the worst of Tom King, though.
Oh, no.
No.
But I think it could have used a little more straightforward narration or more linear plotting at the beginning. And it took me a minute towards the end when Tony got a fake Killer Moth and a fake Firefly. It took me a minute to get what was going on there. And I was like, wait, huh? Okay.
And that's where Jason Barb loses his leg.
Yes, which you had to do because he couldn't have received a wound in Vietnam anymore. That doesn't really line up with continuity.
I'm very much kinder on this story than Will is.
I think I'm pretty much in the middle.
Well, I'm glad that somebody liked it, kind of.
Did you like the fact that Barber just kept on destroying Bruce's $1 million bikes?
I mean, I didn't hate that.
The art, just all the different Firefly and Killer Moth and Blockbuster, just the looks, the way Martin drew those sequences. The sequence on the train at the end with Blockbuster is really, really good looking. The way it's plotted out art wise is phenomenal.
Hey, listeners, god damn it, you should read this book just for art alone.
Yes.
There are prettier books.
You are wrong, Will.
I mean, there are comics by J.H. Williams, so there are, but when it comes
I mean,
to
if we're talking year, or if we're talking art alone, the other year one is better.
But this has, like, Javier Rodriguez colors, man!
I always forget that he started out as a colorist before he went on to being the artist he is now, who's also
His colors improve the art so damn well!
yeah, I mean, this is a school of artists. Rodriguez, Martin, Javier Pulido, who any of them, I just can look at the stuff they do and I'm always impressed.
How do you feel about the conclusion with Batgirl stopping Killer Moth and Firefly with Batman helicoptering over her, and it ends with Batman kind of stealing credit for it?
I thought that was fun. I thought the end of this it ends well, and that she gets to take the oath.
It's like she proves she can fight without lethal force.
So as ever, the one rule remains sacrosanct.
Unless you're Jason Todd.
Or Selena Kyle. They both get multiple passes on that one.
Selena Kyle doesn't wear a badge. She wears a cat. That's completely different.
Okay, fair.
She didn't break the bat oath. She's keeping the cat oath alive.
As anyone who has a cat knows, they are lethal motherfuckers when they want to be.
Squeakers got put into both a hoodie and a tuxedo t-shirt today. I may not wake up in the morning.
Yeah, no, you're dead. You are very dead. Please, I had to get up and disturb Iris, who's finally getting comfortable on my lap now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, she was not a happy camper about that one. But I think as we're doing cat conversation, we should probably.
Oh, that means it's time. But Batgirl year one. And on the big board.
We are at 642 stories on the big board.
God damn.
Number 1 is the post-crisis origin of Batman. Batman Year 1.
Coming in at a sexy 69, it's Batman 14 to 15 Rooftops, where they be banging.
At 150 is Unhinged, the first arc of the Secret Six ongoing. At 300 is Clueless, another Chuck Dixon story featuring similarly incompetent villains, only this time it's a Tim Drake story.
Coming in real high, not nearly as close to the bottom as it once was. At 420, it's Batman Gotham Underground.
Batman Underground. Batman Underground.
At 450, we have A Death in the Family, the death of Jason Todd. And all the way at the bottom, it's still Three Jokers.
Oh my God. We just had to pause to correct a discrepancy in the list, but there's no discrepancy in where Three Jokers belongs on that list.
You fought pretty hard to put Catwoman under Three Jokers. The Catwoman.
None of these are good.
Look, we have obviously had our discussion about this book. I did not care for it, but I'm not willing to die for my hatred of this book. I'll try to find a ceiling that I'm comfortable with.
I was going to put it in the top 100 because I thought it was the best comic Chuck Dixon wrote. Batman book.
No.
But I'm willing to give that up. I am willing to give that up.
Robin Year 1 is... I mean, I don't think this is bad by any stretch, but I don't think it's
no,
Dixon's
it's your list.
Best Bat book.
All right. Here's where I start. I think it's a perfectly good comparison, especially if you gents want to talk about the art. Catwoman When in Rome at 304.
All right, so we're right in the middle there.
You can't say that's not a beautiful book.
Right, but it's something of a nothing burger and only becomes a little bit less because of Last Halloween, and even then.
Last Halloween ended a month ago.
I'm going to move the ceiling down a tick
Okay. Look at that
because
compromise.
right, because the Misfits at 315 is another story with some Killer Moth that I enjoyed more than this. It's again Killer Moth teaming up, but there he's teaming up with Catman and a new villain, and I loves me some Catman.
All right.
I don't have any problem putting this above Injustice at 344.
Oh yeah, fucking arc's amazing. But
Right. All right, let me just throw you a number.
Okay, throw me a number.
The new 322, beneath the first appearance of the ventriloquist, above the New Year's Evil one shot that is an anthology, so you take the good, you take the bad.
I can
New
live with it.
322.
I'll live with it.
Right square in the middle of the list. A solid showing, at least.
Year ones will keep on happening, and they won't stop until you stop giving them money.
Yep.
This was sponsored by Mr. Terrific. Year one, a story that does have Batman in it.
A story I really enjoyed. I love Mr. Terrific. And would make one of the only Batman Terrific team ups that isn't a big team book. That and the current arc of Detective. Our second story of the night is Knightfall Rising. This is Batgirl Volume 4, numbers 10 to 13. The writer is Gail Simone, with pencils by Alitha Martinez, Adrian Sayaf, and Ed Benes. Inks by Vicente Cifuentes and Benes. Colors by Ulysses Areola. Letters by Dave Sharp and edited by Brian Smith. The cover dates are August to October of 2012 and December of 2012. Batgirl has found new vigilantes working in the Cherry Hill neighborhood of Gotham. Knightfall and her Disgraced want to end crime in Gotham in a very final way. They want to kill every criminal, from murderers to car thieves. With only a cop who hates her and another bat-themed vigilante she's never met, can Batgirl stop Knightfall before she takes another life? Problematic Creator Watch. Adrian Sayaf, who wound up having his contract with Marvel canceled for putting anti-Semitic dog whistles in the backgrounds on his art.
Classy.
This was during an X-Men relaunch, so people were actually paying attention.
The number one issue of a new volume of X-Men.
So I want to start chronologically in the story with the first thing that happens. The very first thing. Knightfall, as not a fail child, but a wealthy to-do heiress would be. She grabs the attention of a young gentleman who says, "Oh, I'm not in this for money. I just like you." And then he kills her family because it's funny. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. He kills her family, makes her watch. Then her plan is to get committed to Arkham.
She basically great white sharks herself.
Yes.
The people think she pulled the Menendez brothers.
Yes. So everyone in Gotham thinks that she killed her family, but she didn't.
Everyone thinks that she killed their family because for some reason Lois Lane thinks that she killed her family in a weird moment where Lois Lane just attacks her, saying, "You don't deserve to be out of prison."
In all fairness, this is no New 52 Lois Lane, who was not ever written particularly well.
Yes, but this is a comic written by Gail Simone, who should know better.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, so she manipulates her way into Arkham, where she can learn how to be a psychopath, as you say. Great White Sharks herself.
Or if we're going to compare it to something on the list, Dark Multiverse's Batman hushes herself.
Also that.
The less said about Hush in any multiverse, the better.
This is when Batman learns how to be Batman from the Criminals of Arkham.
Only good idea in that book.
The plan succeeds. She recruits a team, and then she engages in supervillainy.
She engages in Red Hood-esque vigilanteism. She is a supervillain, but she doesn't view herself. She views herself as a hero, as a Punisher type hero.
This plan is very convoluted.
It was a plan made out of grief because her family was killed by a bad man. And also, she's being manipulated by secret villain James Gordon Jr.
Oh yeah, good old Jimmy back.
Oh boy. Boy, oh boy.
James Gordon Jr., the secret villain of the first of this and the next volume of much of the next volume of Batgirl 2. He became this boogeyman.
He's in the next 7 issues and then, dies for a bit. Air quotes.
And then disappears for a while, pops up again in Batman Who Laughs, and then pops up and finally does
appear in Batgirl again.
Yep, where he again dies, quote unquote, before being turned into the Talon in Tynion's Joker. And we have not seen him since. Yeah.
I forgot that he was a Talon. I think that was better for me.
You forgot something from the number 5 book on your list.
Look, it's very good, but the less said about Talons.
You forgot something from the number 5 book on your list that wasn't the backups for it.
Yes, this is something of a deeply convoluted plan, and a plot.
But the general beats also, and look, I have said before that time is a fluid concept. Just because in our limited perception we think something happens before or after something else, that doesn't mean that it actually happened before or after something else. This whole little
Arkham. Will, did you read Three Jokers before or after reading this book?
I mean, who's to say? This whole misfit team of Arkham people just struck me as the Victim Syndicate from Tynion's Detective. I don't care about these people. I don't care about this team, and I know I'm not going to see them again. So what does it matter?
You do see them again. Knightfall is the main big bad for the rest of Gail Simone's run on Batgirl.
Well, I don't want to see him again.
You don't want to see ex-cop who somehow has the powers of Hawkman? You don't want to see the
chemical guy?
Or
lady wrestler who's mad?
I was going to call her probably was meant to be an Amazon until someone else told her what Brian Azzarello did and just made her a wrestler instead. She has the Amazon armbands for some of it.
Well, that was obviously her gimmick. That was her wrestling gimmick.
That was I think Brian Azzarello messed some things up with her, but that's a minor issue. I just thought I should mention it. So you're not the biggest fan of the execution of someone learning how to be a hero from Arkham and how that twists a person's mind.
All right. Isolated, right? It's not a bad idea, but just when you lay it all out, it doesn't make any sense. But I do like the idea of someone just learning stuff in Arkham, because that's what happens in the real world. People learn stuff in prison, and it's not good.
I think Knightfall and Arkham Knight from the detective run should kiss.
Yeah.
They actually do have a lot in common, don't they?
Anyway, let's talk about what Batgirl's doing in this story.
Yeah, so the Simone Batgirl is a run that I have this feeling about, that Simone was writing Birds of Prey again right before the New 52. And I don't think she necessarily was in love with the let's make Barbara Gordon Batgirl again, but she figured if anybody was going to do it, she at least would be a person who could do it in a way that was respectful. So she went with it. But so much of this run is Barbara wallowing. There's so much angst and The references to her ability to walk again, those references are constant. You could have just avoided it. Because again, this is the New 52. Things didn't have to have happened. Killing Joke didn't have to have happened. But Killing Joke happened because it's Killing Joke.
And like we talked about, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, Knightfall didn't seem to happen in the New 52.
Which I guess makes sense because they named the villain of this piece Knightfall!
Yeah. Why don't we create a villain named No Man's Land while we're at it?
It's a good name for a lady villain.
Let's talk to our new friends, Contagion and Fear State.
Well, no, they have to team up with Cataclysm, too. We open with Barbara having that internal struggle with the usual bad faith Bat argument. Batman and those other heroes, they just beat up on poor people. And obviously that is to set up the distinction between her and Knightfall. Because Knightfall is just violently murdering poor people, while at least the Bat family believes in attempts at redemption.
This story does have a slight anti-gentrification stance to it.
Yes. I mean, so much of what Alicia does is along those lines, social activism. So I have a question. Am I reading too much into something?
I'm intrigued.
So Barbara at one point has to spring her roommate Alicia. She was arrested at an anti-gentrification protest. And Alicia has a line about 48 hours in holding isn't fun for anyone. It's maybe not especially me, or something to that effect. Knowing Alicia is not revealed to be a trans woman until issue 19. So we're still a few months off from that. I read that line as early foreshadowing of that reveal of Alicia running into problems in holding with the cops, only wanting to put her in holding with the gender she was assigned at birth, not the gender that she identifies as. But maybe it's just being put in holding just sucks. I don't think I would have read it that way, not knowing where Simone is taking Alicia, but I wonder if that was foreshadowing.
It would make
Sure.
sense if it was. I don't have it in front of me. I know the scene you're talking about, so it sticks out in my mind, but not for the reason I think you're suggesting. But I think that's a very reasonable read there.
Sure, let's go with it.
So on top of all these other things, this is the first meeting between Kate Kane and Barbara Gordon, which is barely a thing in this book.
Yeah,
But we show them fighting on the covers, so they have to fight on the inside for at least 2 pages.
But I will say, I'm glad that that was not in the final issue, which was the Ed Bennis issue, because then it would have just been them contorting in ways that we could get a not so tasteful shot of both of their butts at the same time. As was when we saw Ed Bennis doing the fight between Cheshire and Black Canary in Birds of Prey. And this is the period where Kate has been forced to work for the DEO. So there's all of that.
that's the reason why she attacks them, because Knightfall uses her influence with government to get Kate Kane to do a little attack on them.
Barbara and Detective McKenna, who is a character just from this Batgirl run and doesn't really ever show up anywhere else.
Batgirl has the classic problem of writers just keep on doing stuff and no one picks up the ball from the previous writer.
Yes, very much so. This is another Green Arrow, Deadpool. There's a lot of those characters who, every time a new creator comes on, they just sort of Catwoman. They just shuffle off the old supporting cast and nobody mentions them again.
Unless people get really angry, a la Alyssa.
I think there is the kernel of a good story here. I don't think this is an inherently flawed idea.
It's a fine story, but it's not a fun story.
No. It's early New 52. There was very little fun going on early in the New 52.
It's fine for what it's trying to be, but it's not fun like the stories Gail Simone excels at.
Yes.
And that's editorial mandate, because part of the reason why Gail Simone ultimately leaves the book was because she was told, no, you cannot make it fun by our editor. And then the editor got fired like immediately afterwards.
And then we get Batgirl of Burnside, which is fun.
We'll get to that.
Yep.
It's a fine story.
Yeah. It is a perfectly middle of the road kind of story. Like, there's nothing here terribly offensive. There's nothing here.
I like the fact that because of the fight, Batgirl fully respects Batwoman, and Batwoman takes out the white handkerchief to give her. That does pay off later in the run, because she starts carrying that around for her and uses it on someone else.
And Ricky, the car thief, he shows up again later.
I like the way Barbs relates to him, especially because his leg got chopped off in a bear trap.
But again, that is so much of this early New 52 Batgirl is so obsessed with Barbara's recovery. Yes, and the angst about it. At no point does Barbara seem to really be joyful that she can walk again. All she seems to think about is not being able to walk. And again, that's the New 52. There was no joy in the New 52 early on. No wonder it was such a success that we continue to follow all of these plot threads all these years later. Oh, wait, no.
One of these days, Knightfall will rise again!
A seminal period in comics that very few people will remember fondly.
It was made on short notice because Jim Lee and Dan DiDio needed to save their asses by spiking DC sales.
For that, it worked, but beyond that, it didn't.
Some of it did. Honestly, this is one of their better books coming out at the time.
Batman, Swamp Thing, Animal Man, there are some really good books that were in the New 52.
Quality on this book is just fine. It's not bad.
No.
If you want to read some Barbara stuff, you can read this book.
This is not, Catwoman or Red Hood and the Outlaws.
One of these days, I'm gonna make you read that.
Okay.
What's the title of this here story?
Knightfall Rising.
Yes.
Or Death of the Family Prologue.
Yeah. Yeah, Sunday we're gonna have to do all those Death of the Family tie-ins.
We haven't even touched the main Death of the Family yet.
Yep, that and Endgame are still out there.
Petering out means it's time. But Batgirl, Volume 4, 10 to 13, Knightfall Rising on the big board.
Okay, Matt. Look at Birds of Prey art. Make sure this goes below all those Birds of Prey art.
Yeah. No, those are all up in the top 200. This is probably somewhere. Let me start. Will, I'm thinking 400s for this. Like, not in problematic or bad territory, but not in anywhere in the knock your socks off area.
Hey, Batman and Robin is at Batman and Robin Eternals at 415. Digital Justice is at 407. And we were just talking about how now Gotham Underground is at 421. Like, these are not bad stories per se. They just aren't great.
Yeah, I think this is in that area. This is somewhere, I mean, as is one of our classic dividing lines, this is not above 409. This is not above Joker's Boner.
Although I will say I'd probably put this above Superman the Wedding Album at 430.
All right, so we're somewhere between 409 and 430. Well, as we were just talking about it, what do we? Okay, I've got a starting space, and it might be where we go.
Do it.
New 419. Below the Gotham Academy #7, Curse of the Innistree Quill, where Damian goes to Gotham Academy. Above the Batman Begins movie adaptation.
New
Yeah,
1419, yeah.
that sounds about right. There are better arcs than like Gail Simone, Batgirl, but this is baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll eventually get to do the third ventriloquist with Batgirl.
Too many ventriloquists.
This one's a psychic.
Yeah, this one, the puppet moves with her psychic powers.
Gross.
And our final story of the night is Mindfields. This is Batgirl Volume 4, numbers 47 to 50. The writers are Cameron Stewart and Brendan Fletcher, with art by Eleonora Carlini, Moritat, Babs Tarr, Rob Haynes, Horacio Dominguez, Roger Robinson, Ming Doyle, James Harvey, John Timms, and Cameron Stewart. Colors by Serge Lapointe, Lee Loffridge, and James Harvey. Letters by Steve Wands, and edited by Mark Doyle, Chris Conroy, and Dave Wilgus. The cover dates are March to June of 2016. Something is wrong with Barbara Gordon. Her flawless, eidetic memory seems to be slipping. Worse, beyond doing things she doesn't remember, some of them are very out of character. Something is happening in Burnside. Something is trying to take out Batgirl. And Barbara has to figure it out, or the neighborhood will pay the price. So, as I said, Burnside many times in there, this is the final major arc of the Batgirl of Burnside era. This is where everything that...
You're missing something.
I am. Problematic Creator Watch. Cameron Stewart, who has faced accusations of grooming. Yeah, 3 for 3 tonight.
Yay.
But yes, this is the final arc of the Batgirl of Burnside era. The one where everything that has been happening sort of comes back around. We've got lots of villains and lots of characters who were introduced earlier in the run, all showing up here for one big Batgirl story.
And because this is New 52, I at least forgot we got sexy Jim Gordon.
And boy, listen, young babyface Gordon looks weird in other books. When he is sitting across from Barbara and they look within like 2 or 3 years of each other in age, it's real weird.
Yeah, that makes no sense. 0 sense.
Listen, when you shave a mustache, you gain 20 years.
When you grow a mohawk...
Boy, I might have to work on that then.
You could pull off a mohawk, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know if I have enough hair to do it anymore, though. I really like the Batgirl of Burnside era. It's a very different vibe than the Simone era. There's a lot going on here.
It's a fun effing story.
It is. I like all of the characters surrounding Barbara. I like Frankie. I like Luke Fox, although her and Luke Fox as a couple never really worked for me, but...
That's your Dick and Barb bias.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Stewart and Fletcher absolutely get the voice for both Spoiler and Bluebird at this point. Black Canary's great, because this is when they were also writing the Black Canary book with Black Canary on the road with her band.
She went from super spy to pop artist in the New 52.
Yeah, man, they really didn't know what to do with Black Canary during this period, did they? Will, have you read the Batgirl of Burnside stuff?
I might have read the first arc, ? But I had not read this.
So how penetrable / impenetrable was what was going on here to you?
Nothing. The thing that stood out to me the most was just basically the constant chatter. This was so very talky. I legitimately think Batgirl Year One is a bad book. This one I can just say is not for me.
You don't like the pretty art?
This was not particularly pretty. I didn't like the pencils here. I don't care for the
house
style. Exactly.
This is Will being a crotchety old man
I
again.
am. I am a crotchety old man.
Because I think Babs Tarr is great. I
Yeah.
like the art. I think the weird hallucinatory sequences in Barbara's head from James Harvey look really, really nice.
Oh, yeah. By the way, this is an Art Jam issue. 49 and 50 are Art Jam issues. Because we haven't mentioned the plot yet, really. Fugue is a guy who steals memories, alters memories with his powers. Got the jump on Barbara and fries her brain, which allows for a pretty nice show of different artists coming together to sequences.
Harvey, who did some of the montages as Barbara's mind starts to collapse, is the same artist who did that really nice spotlight issue of Ryko in We Are Robin that we covered a little bit ago. But his stuff here really jumps out at me. He's the artist who also colors himself here versus everyone else who has, one colorist. That is painted and colored by Harvey himself. So it really does stand out to me. But I think Babs Tarr, who was the main artist on this run, was great. But Ming Doyle is excellent.
The other artists capture the vibe that turns Stewart's set.
Yes.
Ironically, the weakest art, probably Stewart's on the last 2 pages.
Yeah. No, I will say, and Will, I'm curious if you at least will kind of go with me on this. While the art might not have been to your taste, the Jam issue, at least all of the artists felt of a piece with each other. This is not one of those ones where it's incredibly jarring stylistically from artist to artist.
No, certainly.
I was actually kind of shocked that the person moving into Barbara's apartment was the guy who was messing up the memories. And afterwards, it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a new guy. I just thought they were producing a new guy, but the clues were there.
Since I remembered that from the first time I read it, I don't remember if it struck me as obvious when I first read it. This time, knowing it going in, it does seem very obvious, but I can't be sure if that is simply because I know the way the story comes out in the end.
Be a tiebreaker, Will!
I can smell the rubber burning all the way from up here in New Jersey.
I didn't think that as particularly odd. Again, just every single conversation, I hated. Every paragraph of dialogue, I hated. I wanted this to be over.
You hear that? Will hates fun!
You're in a mood tonight, man.
Look, maybe Batgirl is just not for me, right? Maybe it's not for me.
Hey, you've enjoyed the Stephanie Brown Batgirl that we've done.
Yeah, hey, that was not bad. Yeah,
You ranked the Cassandra Cain stuff too low.
I didn't care for the tone here, and Bendis is the only author who can just talk at me incessantly in a comic, and I will be okay with it. Everyone else just grates on me.
Maybe I was just used to this, but yes, it is. I'm not denying that it was a very talky book, but it worked for me. The vibe of this book, I enjoyed the pithiness of it.
It's accomplishing what it's doing, what it wants to, incredibly well. Now, there was/is a debate that does this work for Barbara Gordon? Is this dumbing her down to be too childish?
That is definitely something that can be argued because it is a very strange take on Barbara, where she suddenly is going back to college to get another degree and is doing this.
Got to get that law degree so
project.
she can join the FBI.
And then she's also, by the end, starting her own clean energy firm and is suddenly. It again is that thing we often see in comic books that if you're good at one thing, you're good at everything. She's a genius when it comes to computer programming. Suddenly, she also seems to be a nuclear physicist.
Well, no, she bought it as a weapon, but her dreams realized that it could be a power source.
Yeah.
Or her consult with Luke Cage taught her that it could be a power source.
In the whole run, it does very much feel like she's having a quarter life crisis, which maybe is what this particular period in Barbara's life was. That she'd been through enough with all of the things that had gone on and with James Jr. and all the other problems. And so she is having this period where she is sort of doing things very differently.
James
But
Gordon Jr. only mentioned during the run. He wasn't really in the mindscape.
no, there's
Which-
like one or two, like in some of those montages, I think you do see him, but that's about it.
Which restraint. Good.
Yeah. A little James Gordon Jr. goes a long way.
So, Fugue, did you like the fact that Barbara caught him as a bank robber?
Yes.
Yeah. She recognized his whistle. That gets him sent to jail where he learns how to build a memory altering device.
Well, hey, he specifically said he had money socked away and he paid some guy for that. I'm like, okay, good. He's not just a bank robber who suddenly, again, has amazing super science all of a sudden.
And nice little touch. His big plot of revenge ultimately comes down to bank robbery.
Yeah, this
Like,
guy,
he doesn't like sell the fact that he knows who Batman is.
for all of our usual quibbles with this is not a Gotham in peril plot. There's going to be casualties. They're going to blow up the bridge, but he's not planning to blow up the whole city. He just wants to distract them while he robs a bank.
And maybe put Barbara Gordon in jail
Yeah,
as an added bonus.
true. But in the long run, it's just a guy who wants to rob a bank.
I
can
do
respect
like
that.
I do like those splash pages that are like spoiler versus bad guy, blue
Yes.
girl versus bad guy, dagger touch. I forgot who they face. No, Blueberry faces off against Killer Moth.
Right. And Steph is against the I made notes of all of those. Spoiler versus the Lawbreakers, Operator versus Corporal
Jawbreakers.
Punishment.
Jawbreakers who are motorcyclists.
Right, Jawbreakers. Oh, that was a typo there. And Black Canary versus Velvet Tiger. And hey, it's always nice to see Velvet Tiger, one of Batgirl's Bronze Age nemesis, who's been popping up in the current Kelly Thompson Birds of Prey, too. It's like, oh,
Maybe she'll be in Barbara Gordon Breakout.
we'll have to see. I thought Fugue as a villain, that whole concept is great, especially against Barbara, who one of her main character traits is that eidetic memory. And so having someone who uses that against her, that's cool, especially when she's actively bragging about it to the guy who looks to be just some lame bank robber. But it would teach Barbara to be a little less cocky in front of the bank robbers, because that way lies these problems.
Well, if you say too much, you might have to dig around in your brain.
You might have to cut off your spinal implant to get a magnet impulse to fry the guy's memory.
It's the kind of thing that happens to all of us every now and then.
Absolutely.
You gotta hit a guy hard enough to make sure they don't remember Batman's memory.
Yeah.
Love the Riddler.
Oh, yeah,
Riddler can tell you about that. Or he could if he could just remember it.
Except now Hush 2, but we don't talk about Hush 2.
We do not talk about Hush 2
It's like-
until we have to talk about Hush 2.
It's like Fight Club. First rule of Hush 2 is we
Which-
don't talk about Hush 2.
Speaking of which, how's Colin this week? You talking about Hush 2?
No, I'd rather not. I liked the issue or the sequence where Steph and Barbara break into the GCPD. That was just fun. And that's what this run is. This is fun. This was a period where the DCU YOU era, where DC was doing fun books again, where you had Gotham Academy, you had this, you had Black Canary.
You had Starfire.
Yes, We Are Robin might not have been fun, but
You had Harley Quinn existing.
Yes.
You had weird Damien stuff.
I feel like this book, Gotham Academy, We Are Robin, these were all attempting to hit a different audience, and an audience that DC didn't get in the New 52.
And this one worked.
Yes, this was a very popular run when it came out. This would be a run that if they sort of released it in the DC YA size trades again, it would sell. With again, there are some weird bits that wouldn't make sense. Jim Gordon as Bunny Bat in there. That has to be mentioned. That would possibly throw some new readers off.
There's that mistake with Dagger Type that got changed in the first story, but got changed in trades because they didn't realize, oh, we made an offensive one.
Yeah, some gender stuff there that was not comfortable.
Just let Dagger Type be a street painting artist like he wants to with crime. God damn it.
And you'd probably also have to not trade the issue with Grayson and Spiral because there's a lot of explanation you got to do there. Again, we're in a very specific moment in the DC universe.
Clark Kent had his shirts and jeans and his identity known to the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
Green Lanterns were trapped behind a wall in space, leaving Hal Jordan as Golden Green Lantern.
And Bruce Wayne had no memory.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Aquaman had a real bad story arc.
Oh, yeah. There was a time there after Johns left and before Abnett came on. That was not a good period.
The writer after Johns was pretty good. Or at least continued the ideas of what John was putting down. It only got bad when, I think, was it Colin Bunn?
Yes, you're right. It was Jeff Parker followed up on the John stuff, and it was pretty consistent. And then Cullen Bunn came in during this period. It did not work.
And it bombed out pretty fast.
Oh, did it ever? Okay, we're talking about other New 52 books. I think it's time to...
And Wonder Woman was a goddess of war.
Oh, yeah. The Finches.
And Flash just kind of existed.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the main Justice League members and what happened? Oh, and also there was a Dark Side War.
Oh, that's something we're going to have to cover someday. No, I'd rather not.
Aww, this wandering means it's time. But Batgirl 47 to 50, Mindfield's on the big board.
All right. So...
Pull up your list of YA stories.
So, all right, Will. Is this above or below Knightfall?
Goddamn Sophie's choice for me. Jesus.
Do you mean Batgirl Knightfall or the actual Knightfall?
Batgirl Knightfall. This is not going up in the top 150.
I guess by default, the story I hated the most is Story of the Night. Christ.
You could change the odds.
No.
Because I'd be fine putting this above year one.
I can recognize that this is just not a book for me. Like I'm not I don't dig YA. It's not my vibe. I think probably as a whole this is better than Knightfall Rising.
Yeah, I agree.
That is correct. That is correct. I would have thought you hard if you said below. I would say this goes at least in the 300s.
Yeah, I think it's in the 300s. 350 is Injustice Year 3, Volume 2. So that is the back half of the Magic War.
This has many more artists, and they are more consistent / better than the Injustice art.
Yeah. Except for the Bruno Redondo stuff, but then everyone else is much less than Bruno Redondo in those books. I'm thinking 330s? Okay, let me throw some at you, Will, and see where... 333, Mud Pack, all the clay faces.
I was just looking there. We do have that little stretch of Detective Comics. I could easily break that up at 333.
Okay, so in between the first spoiler and all the clay faces.
All the clay faces. Triple tray.
It can't be all the clay faces because there are clay faces that weren't even introduced yet.
All the
clay faces.
All the clay faces up until that point. A couple issues ago of the current run on Harley Quinn had all the clay faces.
Too many clay faces.
You haven't even touched the Batman Strikes version of Clayface yet.
Oh, yeah, right. He wasn't there.
I'm just talking about Will.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
'Cause
have to.
one of these days you're gonna watch the Batman.
I think there's some really you obviously do too. I think there's some really good episodes of the Batman.
You gotta get weird with the picks and not just throw in an animated series episode at some point.
All right, but hey, that's that does it for tonight, John.
Hey, Will. You
Yeah.
keep calling me a fucking asshole at the end of the things.
I mean, you do pick the books that we
Well-
don't pick.
Well, Will, I try and give you good comics. You don't like it, and well, I'm gonna make a formal declaration of war to break you.
You're doing a good job, buddy. You're doing good.
Project 2026, breaking Will with weird Batman comics.
Look, I can do weird. It's the bad that's
Don't
tough.
worry, there will be bad mixed in there.
This is what you do to me, Will.
I know.
If
I'm
you're
a
gonna call
nice
me
guy.
a goddamn asshole, even though I bring you good comics, then I'm gonna be prepared. Then I'm gonna formally launch a war decree.
Well, fortunately, next week we're not going to have that because next week, Sam Hopper, friend of the show, Patreon backer, returns to talk about 3 stories about the first 3 Robins and their later non-Robin identities. Remember, you can support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/batchatwithmattandwill, where you can get shoutouts, bonus content, pick a story, and even come on the show. We'd like to thank those Patreon backers: Dan Grote, Josh Wheel, Mrs. Abigail Hartbaum, Asimov Fangirl, Tony Thornley,
Go Aggies.
Sam Hopper,
Go to bed, Sam.
John Wickham.
This lovely, charming, wonderful gentleman, this scholar among men, this saint,
Robert Secundus,
Bobby, this boy spent the better part of a day arguing with people on Twitter that thought they could talk to their animals. Bobby, you gotta look. As most people, I would just say you need to touch grass. You need to like lay down in the grass, roll around in it, become one with the grass, make love to the grass. Get in touch with humanity and not just the world's worst online discourse. But I love you, buddy.
That's the talk that gets war started, Will.
Tim Rooney, Giorgio Sergioli, David Wheel,
World's greatest gray belt,
Alexander Wheel, Matt McThorne,
McThorny,
Dan Offer,
barely newer,
Nate Randell, Dania Mosley, Ross Holmes,
Mr. Random Ace,
Will Crisp,
me compadre.
Carlos Cordova, Jordan Jennings, and Charlie Etheridge Nunn for their support. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music/Audible, YouTube Music, Podbean, and on comicsxf.com, where new episodes drop every Thursday. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about comics and other random things, and Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, both at MattLaz1013.
You can regrettably find me on Twitter at Will Nevin, where sometimes I have to read the dumb things that Bobby Secundus puts into my timeline. But then now I think I'm just going to share a picture of my belt buckles. I'm getting into belt buckles.
And I'm John Wickham, and you ain't getting a nice crime level street story from me again.
Good night, Huntsville.
Well, I mean, John finished it. It's fine.
Okay. And be sure to visit ComicsXF at comicsxf.com or ComicsXF on Blue Sky for our weekly Friday Bat Chat roundup of new Bat books. For my other show, the ComicsXF Interview Podcast, where my longtime best friend Dan Grote and I interview comics creators, retailers, publishers, journalists, and other related tradespeople, as well as all the other stuff Will and I are writing. And stay safe out there, folks. Gotham is not a place to be after dark.